Okay, so what I want to do with this particular broadcast is do some marquetry. Now, marquetry, believe it or not, all this here is just a flat wall. That's all done with marquetry. Just bits of veneer cleverly put together to give you a 3D sort of image. So that's a modern one. I was fortunate enough to do a workshop with Silas a couple of years ago when he came to Australia, but fantastic book. I don't want to ruin these because they cost a flippin' fortune. This one is actually a French book, and again, it has some absolutely spectacular examples of marquetry in it, which is absolutely gorgeous. So it gives you some good ideas of what you can do or what can be achieved with marquetry. The one I'm going to do today, this one is a very, very simple one, if I can find it. I'm not going to do one of these elaborate ones. I'm going to do just a very basic shell. That book is Antique Boxes, Tea Caddies and Societies, 1700s to 1800s. So marquetry basically is doing pictures in veneer. That's just a very simple shell design, and that's the one basically I'm going to be doing today. It's in 4 parts, and then there's an oval on it, and then I've got some edging around the outside, but I might do something a little bit different on this one. Now that is called marquetry. This is called parquetry. So if it's a design or a picture, it's marquetry, but if it's geometric, it's parquetry. And this is, if you're into sewing, it's called baby's blocks. If you're into parquetry, it's called Louis blocks. And the interesting thing with this, as I did this years ago, is if you actually follow it, they're different sizes. For example, that piece there is a different size to this piece here, and this piece here, and that you can see are 2 different sizes. This and this are different sizes. This and this are different sizes. So that's something we might look at later on as we go down the track. And here's another interesting one, which is the same design or the same timber, but a design in the same timber, but by changing the angles of the grain, you get different effects, I suppose. That's a Zabrano and that's a rose, obviously. But the simple one we're going to do today is just going to be the shell. Let's get started with this one. What I've done is drawn a very, very basic seashell shape here, and I'm going to now trace that with tracing paper, and then we'll start putting it onto different timber to get the shape that we want. I'll make a bit of room here. What I want to do is actually, this is a cigar humidor I did ages and ages ago, so I want to finish that off, and I actually want to put the design in the lid. All right, what I use is Stanley knife. These particular ones aren't available anymore, unfortunately, but the English pocket knife, I think, is. I'm not sure. I'll see if I've got one. Okay, this is the same blade as the knife I use. This is the English version of a Stanley knife, a folding pocket knife. This is the American and Australian version. But if you look at the 2 blades, they're different. This is the one I like using because I've got a nice sharp tip on that and I can get into intricate corners, whereas this one I find is a bit clumsy. So check them out. Actually, you can buy them online, but that's the one you want, the one with the longer, pointier blade. Basically, yeah, look, you can use anything. If you've got someone in the medical field and you know someone's got some scalpels, I think a #1 scalpel is pretty good. I stay away from those retractable knives with the segments because sometimes you do apply a fair bit of pressure and you can break them, and if you haven't got safety glasses on, you know, you can be in trouble. The big bulky utility knives I find are too heavy to use, so stick them with this one. All right, now tracing paper. So that's all I've got, just that bit there. Now, all I'm going to do is just trace this here, and I'm using a 2B pencil. And there you have it. That's all we need to start with. Got to take note of nature when you're doing this stuff, and make sure you get the lines together. When we do leaves, I don't know if I'll do that today, but at some stage we'll make a leaf. And you've got to make sure that the grain is running the same way as it done in real life. And many's the time I've run outside to grab a leaf off a tree so I can see which way the veins go, because if you put it in the wrong way, or the grain of the timber's not running the right way, yeah, it looks a bit disastrous. So in this case, you'll find that shells generally follow the same line. What we'll do here is mark the lines I want, and if you see a shell, it'll be going that way. And because these cone shapes are a little bit off, and you've got to allow for the roundness, they do vary slightly. Now this is the inside of the shell, and that comes back at a different angle. So I just mark those in, and then I can orientate that to the veneer I'm using. Veneer, oh, you can pick it up in most places. You can buy it online, but I think if you go to a shop, a workshop that does kitchens or does fancy, they generally have boxes of offcuts that, you know, you could pick up for a reasonable price, or they might even give it to you, which is an even more reasonable price. I'll do the shell out of this, which is quite gorgeous quilted cherry, and then that's going to inlay into this, which is palisandre or Rio rosewood, because that looks, to me, it looks like, if you can see a close-up of it, that's, you know, a bit of sand, and that could be the waves coming in, and that could be rocks and what have you. So what I want to do is actually put the shell over like that, and that way it just looks as if it's nestling on the beach. Now, to find out which side of the veneer is going to be glued down, it's quite simply you bend it, and it will bend one way very easily, and there'll be resistance the other way. So when it bends that way, this is the side you glue down, and I always just run pencil over it like that, so I know when I pick up a piece, that is the part that's actually going to be glued down. So that's the part we'll deal with first, and the grain's running up and down the sheet, as you can see. So we get the first part of the shell, and pick a nice piece. There's a lot of shells, they're quite pretty. If you look at shells on the beach, they're not just straight lines. Generally they have mottling in them, or excuse me, or blemishes, which is all part of the beauty of the natural shell. So pick out some of these nice pieces here and actually have them inside the shell itself. See, that's Bob. Say hello to everyone. He's in after me breakfast. This is the only trick Bob knows. High five. There you go. All right, go away. I'm looking, and I've got some nice lines going along this way. So the first piece of the shell, I'm going to actually line up these lines going with the lines on the timber, like that. And we'll just pop that there. Piece of pencil carbon paper underneath. And what I use, you can use a pencil, but you end up with a fairly thick line if you use a pencil. So what I use, just a ordinary plain dart without the flights. Now the reason I use the dart or a pointy thing rather than the pencil is because I get a much finer line when I start tracing around here. And when you're cutting it out, you're right? No, you're not getting any more. The finer the line, the easier it is to cut. Whereas if you've got a fat line, when you come to put it together, your margin for error is a lot bigger. So we'll just mark these out.